Hello, and welcome to today's lesson on English is for All program. My name's Joe, and I'm going to be your teacher today. Don't forget that you can pause this video at any time in case you need to stop and review something. And don't forget to write down your questions so that you can share them with us in our online YouTube tutoring sessions, or post them in the comments below, and one of our teachers will be happy to answer them for you. Thanks again, and enjoy your lesson. Okay, so while I know this says Beginner 2, Lesson 4, we are in fact on Beginner 2, Lesson 5. That is my fault. That's an error with my PowerPoint. But today we're going to be talking about how to use simple past tense for regular and irregular verbs. Past tense is absolutely crucial when you're talking about actions that have happened in the past, or if you're forming sort of like hypothetical sentences, trying to put various events in order. It's very crucial to know, but it's not hard to grasp at all. So we'll go through some of them together, and hopefully we'll learn something along the way here. So, okay, so here are some circumstances where the simple past tense verb needs to be used. So we have first actions that have taken place once, never, or several times. So I would say, for example, he visited his parents every weekend. These are things that happen either on a regular basis, things that have happened before, but they have happened in the past. Actions in the past that take place one after another. So when you're talking about three separate actions, you're trying to put them in order. You would say he came in, took off his coat, and sat down. That way you give the person you're talking to an idea of the order in which things are happening. The past tense really helps you get that point across. Okay, so actions in the past that take place in the middle of another action. So for example, when I was having breakfast, the phone suddenly rang. First part of the sentence, you've established that you were doing something, you were having breakfast. Past tense tells the person you're listening to that while you were doing this other action, something else happened at the time. And absolutely crucial for if sentences, hypothetical sentences, such as, if I had a lot of money, I would share it with you. Past tense is often accompanied by signal words. These are words we use to establish to the person we're talking to that we're talking about things that have happened in the past. So we would say things like yesterday, or 2 minutes ago, or in 1990, the other day, last Friday, last night. And a great signal word for past tense is if. That establishes that you're talking about something hypothetical. Again, past tense is absolutely necessary there. For simple past or past simple, depends on who you ask. Regular verbs, super easy. You just add that suffix ed. So things like walk and close and open and shower. It would just be walked and closed and opened and showered, things like that. Now, there are some exceptions when adding the ed on the end. So if we take a look, when the final letter of a verb is E, you only add the D. You don't need to worry about adding that second E. So with love, it would be loved. That E that ends at the end of love, that does all the lifting that the regular E would on a verb that doesn't end in E. When the final consonant after a short stressed vowel, or L as the final consonant of the word, you double that last letter. So if you see admit, it would be admitted with 2 T's instead of just adding the ed under that. Or travel would be the E with 2 L's before the ed. And then finally, if the last word of the verb is a Y and it comes after a consonant, it becomes I. So we take a look, we have hurry, which is spelled Hurry. We just change that to Hurried. And that's the same for all verbs that end with Y. Now, we can also use the past tense of verbs to negate things and to turn them into questions. So here we have the verb to be, the verb to do, the verb to have, and the verb to go. These are irregular verbs. You do not add the ed to these. These are conjugated in a different way. So with be, the past tense of it is I was, they were. If I wanted to negate it, I would follow that formula we've talked about before, where I would say the pronoun, the verb, and then not. Here we have used contractions, which basically means instead of saying he was not, we're just pushing the was and the not together to say wasn't. And in so doing, I've taken the O from the not out and just replaced it with a period or an apostrophe. My apologies. So for a personal pronoun such as you would say you weren't, in the same way that you would say that for plural nouns, so such as they, we, things like that. So you weren't. And then to make it a question, you just flip where you're putting the verb in relation to the subject of the sentence. So instead of saying it was, you'd say was it, and you've turned it into a question. Were we, turned into a question. You just need to make sure that you've conjugated the verb correctly for the subject in question. So if it's the personal pronoun I, or a singular noun like he, she, the dog, that's was. For things like saying you or plural nouns, that's were. For do, the past participle is did, not dude, did. So I did, they didn't, did you. Same, it's the same formula, it's just a different verb. You're going to notice a lot of similarities as we go through this stuff. So when you're talking with the verb to have, in the positive, you would say had. I had, you had, they had, the dog had. Once you negate it or turn it into a question, it goes right to have. So she didn't have XYZ. I didn't have, you didn't have. The past participle that did means that you don't need to turn have into a past participle anymore. It stays, you've established that it's in the past by using the did there. Same with as a question, did you have? Again, you've established it's the past by using the verb did, the past participle of do. So it basically kind of follows that way. Same with things like did you go, did you see? And go is right here. I went is the past participle of go, but she didn't go. Did they go? Same thing. In the affirmative or the positive, you would say went, but once you've added that did or didn't or whatever, it turns into go. You just go back to your present tense. So for verbs other than be or do is used as an auxiliary verb in negative forms and questions. So the positive past would say, I ate dinner an hour ago. And in that one, the past tense of the verb is used, like we just talked about. In the negative, I would say, I didn't eat my dinner an hour ago. The past tense of do is being used before the simple form of the main verb, so you don't need to put it in the past tense. Same with questions. Did you eat your dinner an hour ago? The past tense of do is being used before the subject pronoun and the simple form of the main verb is used. So you don't need to go past simple, you just stay with the simple form when you see did. Whenever you see did, go back to the simple form of the verb. Now, like I said off the top, irregular verbs can be a little tricky. This is a great resource that you can use. Refer to it whenever you have a question. Irregular verbs are called that for a reason. They're irregular. They often have their own little rules attached to them. I promise you, once you grasp them, they're not that hard to use, but they can be a little tricky off the top. I have used this resource in the past. I strongly suggest checking it out if you're having any problems with that. I hope you've enjoyed your lesson. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos and hit the bell icon so you can get notifications for all future videos that we make. If you've enrolled in our premium or interactive E-LAN programs, we also invite you to use our learning platform and complete all of your exercises in our virtual library according to your own method. There, our teachers have also chosen some additional resources that can be really, really helpful in your learning process. Once again, thank you so much for choosing E-LAN. We will see you next time.